So I called up Brent. I'm like, we got to get optimized. I was like, I need content. And he's like, well, how much content? I was like, I don't know. Do you guys do SEO? And he's like, yes. And I'm like,
No, there was no such thing as professional
and I'm
SEO.
like, well, why did you hesitate? He said, well, listen, we won't turn down anything, but that's kind of new. And so the answer is, yeah, we'll do that. I'm like, oh, he said, well, what do you want? And I was like, I don't know, pages for keypads and motion detectors and alarm monitoring and home security and, and I want to show up for everything. And so, and he's like, well, how many pages? I was like, and I wrote it down. I was like, oh, we need 23 pages. And he's like, okay. And he said, I'll get you a quote for it. And so they just so y'all remember, 10,000 for a design and 10 pages. Hey there, guys. It's Nolan and Jason here.
Howdy.
With Roofing Webmasters. Today's title is How I Got Started in SEO, or I guess more for digital marketing.
Right.
And marketing for roofers. But so I'm one of the owners here, and I used to own a home security company. And at the time we had, with the subcontractors of the installers and internal employees for sales and office and all of that, we had close to, say, 35 people range. And we did it was about a decade worth of business, and we did over 20,000 alarm system sales and installs. And in 2004, Bush Jr. signed in the No Calls Act during interim elections for a little PR.
Yeah.
And he showed up on the front steps and basically killed my world. Yeah, and which was really not cool.
He was heavy into auto dialers.
Yeah, so we were auto dialing. It worked fantastically, and then it was over like that. Because in 04, he called it to go, the DNC and all that started in 05. And so I had done a lot of stuff. We did direct mailer for new homeowners. I'd already tried, Valpak money mailers, ad pages, or AdSense. I forget one ad. That's good. Ad pages.
Name it, you did.
Billboards, radio. Yeah, and so we did all that stuff, but I was big on the new homeowners because they needed an alarm system.
Right.
And we auto dialed, 30,000 numbers a day or something back when it was legal.
There's going to be a young person that sees this is just going to be shocked that was allowed.
Oh, yeah, the Public Utility Commission really didn't have any issues with it at all, but it crossed over with this federal stuff, and it was like, okay, we have to, not do this anymore.
Right.
And so anyway, we had decided that we weren't going to break the law, and we didn't, and we've always been kind of squeaky clean, and in 05, we had to figure out something else, and it was like, well, this internet thing seems like...
There's this newfangled thing.
Seems like it's, a good place to look, And so I looked all around at local web designers, because that's what the keyword
That's all
would
it
have
was back then.
Yeah, and it was a company out of Dallas. I've shown you several times.
Yeah.
And
a place I actually did freelance work for.
Did you?
Back in the early 2000s.
I can't remember.
I didn't work on your account, but
I can't remember well, this would have been like 05.
Yeah.
It might have been 04, 05. It was 05 probably that we actually got serious. I might have done the account in 04 getting ready.
Right.
So I can't remember the main guy's name. I can almost remember it. And I don't want to say two anyway, but the guy that really got me going was Brent. He was the sidekick to the main guy.
Yeah.
His name was Brent. And what had happened was we paid $10,000 for a website, sit inside my company, and it was a 10-page website for $10,000. And I
miss those days.
I was basically so I went with one of the best companies I could find.
Yeah.
And just so you know, $10,000, I was basically a cheapskate, right?
Yeah.
So
$10,000 in 2005 was a lot more than $10,000 is now.
I went into this web office, and all these guys were just so cool,
Yeah.
They were off of the West End area in Dallas, in an old, red brick building and I almost picture like a water tower on it or something, like
Yep.
a old.
Yeah, it was one of those old.
The
it was
ones you
the,
see in New York City and stuff.
God, what was that? I can't remember what the development was before they turned it into offices. It was some old industrial or like slaughterhouse site or something.
Yeah,
like that.
and you walked into the conference room and it was like a barn door rolled forward and it was polished, concrete, and this big rustic table, and all these web geeks kind of like looked like they came in on hoverboards with like cool hair and like nerd attitudes and just kind of glided in as like, we're the coolest, Some web geek chick. Who was that good-looking chick from the web geek girl from the TV show? I can't remember that show. There was a.
You're not giving me enough to go
I'm
on.
sorry. It was a show anyway. So we're there, and I remember specifically, they're like, "What color would you like?" And I was like, "Well, blue would be good." And somebody in the background was like, "Oh." I never told you that, did I?
Yeah, I think you did. It's so funny because that's how I got my start is design, and I was doing web design in exactly that period of time. I've been doing web design since '97, and so I was doing it at that time, and that was just like everybody would ask for the same colors or the same whatever, and you just get so sick of it. And so I did that same crap. I was a snotty little shit back then, and it was just
So basically, they were all snotty little shits, and Brent didn't try to be the biggest snotty. I don't want to cuss during that. I don't want to curse during these. Anyway, we got it designed and we got it set up. And I'm really pretty, aggressive about marketing. So I was like, okay, well, what about optimizing this stuff? These were new words, by the way.
Yeah.
SEO
was a pretty new concept.
I said, so we want SEO, and I want these pages optimized. I called Brent up, and I was like, oh, I remember the other guy's name. I don't want to say it.
Okay.
I just remembered his name. It started with a T. But anyway, so I called Brent up.
I remember Brent, but I don't remember the other guy.
The other guy's name was Tom.
Okay.
He was the main owner.
Okay.
But he didn't answer the phone. So Brent would answer the phone. Some other girl, and it's only like 8 of them, but it was very like corporate,
Yeah.
Which is bull
They
crap.
had a lot of money behind them.
Back at the time, they did the Dallas Mavericks back then and stuff. They were doing.
They had big accounts.
Anyway, so I called up Brent. I'm like, we got to get optimized. I was like, I need content, and he's like, well, how much content? I was like, I don't know. Do you guys do SEO? And he's like, yes. And I'm like,
no, there was no such thing as professional
And I'm
SEO.
like, well, why did you hesitate? He said, well, listen, we won't turn down anything, but that's kind of new. And so the answer is, yeah, we'll do that. I'm like, oh, he said, well, what do you want? And I was like, I don't know, pages for keypads and motion detectors and alarm monitoring and home security and, and I want to show up for everything. And so, and he's like, well, how many pages? I was like, and I wrote it down. I was like, oh, we need 23 pages. And he's like, okay. And he said, I'll get you a quote for it. And so they just so y'all remember, 10,000 for a design and 10 pages.
Right.
And they didn't really do content or anything. It was just, these pages. So just so y'all know, it's a home page and the same identical 9 interior pages.
Right.
And so
a slightly different subject, but not much content.
So
on
I
each
get
one.
a PowerPoint presentation back, and I'm like, "What is this?" And I'm like, I'm even more, blunt and country than I am now. And I was like 30. I don't even remember how old I was in 2005. Anyway, it was a while back, and I'm like, and I had a lot more testosterone. I had a hairpin trigger, So, and I thought I was a pretty big shot, So, and I was like, well, what is this? And I'm going through like this 25-page PowerPoint presentation, and I get to the end, and it was the quote was in 20,000 plus.
Yeah, it was like $1,000 a page or something.
It was maybe around $1,000 a page. Yeah, 900, 1,200. I don't remember exactly.
Right.
It's a lot of money.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what is this? And Brent,
don't you wish we could get $1,000 a page now?
It's crazy. So Brent was like, well, blah blah. There's a lot of work going on here, and I was like, we can write page content, damn it. And he's like, well, we have to, there's special skill sets involved, and I was like, this is ridiculous. And Brent got this really defined, what I call web geek cocky attitude. And I just got about as bent as I could be. And I really didn't have the last laugh here, by the way, because I went and hired 4 people. And with a guy, and I might have had 5 at a certain point. There was a guy named Sven.
I've heard of Sven.
Sven was really nice with a thick enough German accent, and he managed the other 4 web geeks through just kind of fear. Like a web geek fear, I guess. Couldn't probably imagine anything more fearful than an English-speaking guy with a German accent talking like very distinctly, directly down to them, you know. And so he was nice enough not to run out of the room, and scary enough to be like, yes, sir. You know, so kind of like you, Jason.
Do this now! They have ways of making you code.
So we had a developer, we had a programmer, and back then these were pretty high in skill sets. And I think I paid between all of them, I don't know if it was 4 total, but we paid like a couple $100,000 or $250,000 in a year in 05.
Instead of the $20,000.
Instead of the $20,000, yeah. And so we did that for about 18 months, and it was like, oh my God, and I can't afford any more of this. And we're down like, you know, $380,000 or something, right? Yeah. Now that's how we started. And it started mainly because of what I call web geek cocky. And I did want to make a point that, like, we don't have that here. It really doesn't. This is a humble enough group. We know we're the best, you know, but we don't.
He says right after saying we're humble.
We know we're the best at what we do, but nobody gets cocky with the client.
It's easy to be humble when you're the best.
It is.
Humility costs nothing when you're the best. That's my new slogan.
Yeah, so, but one thing we always said here, and we don't have anybody that ever treats the client, because I remember telling Brent specifically, because he starts talking down to me so horribly, and I was like, look, dude, I'm not stupid. I just don't know anything about, you know, about SEO.
About this thing.
I don't know anything about that. So don't talk to me like I'm stupid. It's like, oh, I don't talk. I say, they damn sure were talking to me like I'm dumb. And so, and it wasn't just that I went hairpin trigger on Brent and didn't like being talked down to, which I didn't like that. But at the end of the day, I couldn't call around and find anybody that wasn't web geek cocky.
We all were.
That didn't want to charge a fortune, that wasn't slow as hell to respond, that didn't talk in circles and down, and I couldn't get the work done.
Right.
So I called a few people and I was like, I didn't ever tell you this. I was like, well, set me up a pay-per-click account. I was like, well, do you know how to do it? No, but I'll figure it out. I mean, people didn't have pay-per-click accounts on Google.
Right.
And Google actually would say, well, how the hell do I do this? And say, well, and Google specifically, remember in 2004 or 5 when I got on there, said, we'll bid at least a nickel to see your, and I was like, okay, a nickel. And I was like, well, nothing happened, man. I was like, what are we going to do? So we got our organic we got all of our organic keywords off of bullet points on the homepage. And we used, back then, David Letterman was still, so it was like the top 10 reasons to use our company for home.
Yeah.
We have the best Dallas alarm monitoring. If you're looking for a security system in Fort Worth, and we went through the top 10s, they were all keyword plugged with bullet points, and that all optimizes in top 5 at the time.
If only it was still that easy.
And then when we went on PPC, we want to show up there too. Google said, well, bid a nickel. And so week passes, and well, damn it, what's wrong with this thing? You know, it's like, well, I don't know, raise it to 6 cents. And it's like, so we went to 6 cents, and nothing happened. And we go, well, damn it, make it a dime. Make it a dime. You know, nothing happened. You know, raining money,
raining dimes,
throwing nickels, dropping nickels. You know, and so then we're like, make it a quarter. You know, and like nothing happened. I was like, well, 26 cents. And I remember specifically going 51 cents. And nothing happened. And we'd call in people and like, what's wrong with this thing? You know, we're 10 times more than what they asked for. What the hell is going on? We finally went to $1.01.
And you finally got
And we got it to show up. And then it went to $1.26. And by the time, short period of time that we stopped from 05-ish to 2010, it had gone to like $7, $8, $10.
Yeah.
Now,
And even $7 or $8 now seems cheap.
We were floored. We're like, God, this is my God, you know. And it had gone to like $25, $30, I'd heard last time we looked in that category.
Wow.
So we had started those guys in 05, run kicking and screaming at the cost of true high quality IT people.
Of having essentially a small marketing agency within
our company.
Yeah.
Completely not, something that we could take on as an expense, even though we had that many people in there. Done very well, and then inadvertently, like after that, God. So if that stopped in 06, it was a full 5 years later before the formation of a digital marketing agency. And we went back into it, subbed out services, and then got back into this because we had gained so much knowledge during that time frame.
Right.
But the initial money invested in that was literally into the hundreds of thousands of dollars, something that I probably could have done with all the work, that we needed to have done for $50,000 over a 10-year period. And that was with me with like dumping money on it.
Right.
So, and because I don't want to bore everybody with all the other stuff these people did, which is highly embarrassing to say all the business ventures that we tried to do with this group of four. And wasted.
I know some of them. They're pretty funny.
It's funny, but it was stuff that was normal to try to do back then.
Yeah. Some of the stuff you've told me, I know other people who tried the exact same thing.
We were trying to get into e-commerce and other stuff that were totally different things. We tried drop ship DIY home security systems, which didn't become popularized until damn near 10 years later.
Yeah, they're big now, only in the last couple of years.
We were just very early.
Yeah.
The only people that ordered those were highly anal retentive people out of California.
Interesting.
We're the only one, but we did sell some of them. And they bought them out of, because they were techie, didn't want people drilling on their $1 million home at the time, probably now $4 million homes. And
well, it's California. They probably need a permit to get someone to come out and put it in.
Yeah, don't know. But
if they could do it themselves.
We did all kinds of stuff, wasted all kinds of money, but the end result of it is that we learned a lot about it. And if I had any stroke of genius at the time in 05 or 06, we would have just started offering the same services that we tried years later, right then, for what was done back then, which was just lick and stick websites out to categories.
Right.
It's
interesting because it just occurred to me saying something that there's a lesson here for some of our potential clients in that you effectively try to do all your marketing internally. Now, if you're Coca-Cola, you can do that all day because you're huge, you make billions of dollars. But a small company, you can't afford enough people to do all this work. There's not enough hours in the day.
So we just had a client get bought by another company.
Right.
And the other company only does, it's in construction related. And the other company has 12 locations and this company has 1.
Right.
They bought the company because, and Jason and I were arguing about it or talking about this the other day, they bought the company because they made money and they were number 1 through a massive metropolitan area on almost because of us on almost everything. And when they buy the company, takes the website with them that's doing so well and engulfs it into their own marketing, they didn't have jack to do with how well they did on the internet, never even calls us as of yet.
Right.
I find it colossal.
They called us just to make sure that they had the full transfer and access to everything.
I find it so ludicrous that that's the case, that they didn't call and spend millions, presumably, on this company. I'm guessing this guy sold for at least $3 million for that company.
Easy.
And did not call. And they internalized their own marketing, but bought this to get into the market. If they're so good, why don't they just do their own,
Yeah.
But
he handled a particular material that they didn't.
I get it.
And that, they wanted to get into that.
I still find it stupid. And I want to say something else. I ended up, so I was a contractor of sorts. I wasn't a roofer but that's where I grew up in business. The reason that I ended up in marketing is because the business never earned any money unless marketing was just banging, doing really well. So at some point in time, after years of having my own businesses, doing really well, I did well in home security, and did really well doing that. But it only worked under a few things. Ultimately, by the way, the website was the third largest in the country under 2 name branded on national search results.
Right.
And we did well and made good money again after auto dialing to web work. And that's how we ended up in digital marketing, because it's really you learn services, you can learn all that. We have people all the time that say, I'm the best roofer around, I got high integrity, and they'll tell us this story. All these other guys they're rude and they're jackasses and they don't do work as good as me. It doesn't matter on some level. It matters maybe at the pearly gates, but it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter on Google.
It doesn't matter to Google. Doesn't even matter to the client, because all they're going to do is go in there and read the reviews, see who optimizes, see who's on mapping, see who's on organic, and buy.
And maybe, if they're in a situation where they can shop, they'll call 2, maybe 3 people for an estimate.
Leads equals service. Leads equals resources. You show up on ranking. You improve your resources. You improve your services. Without the leads and without marketing excellence, nothing else matters.
Right.
You can have all the integrity in the world, and nobody will ever find you anymore. I think back in the day it helped.
Yeah. Well, word of mouth existed.
And if you're horrible nowadays, you'll get figured out eventually on reviews. So that argument's dead too. Yeah. I still get that argument though, and it's really just someone exasperated trying to figure out the world of marketing.
Right.
But the point is that we ended up here because marketing is the most, that's paramount. It's number one on the list of things for a good business person.
Right.
I had actually heard Mark Cuban discuss it on the list of things, and it was first.
Yeah.
If they don't understand sales, it was first. They had a 13-year-old girl come in. God, what was she? She was selling a DIY back massager. So it was basically a hook with an ergonomical hook. Looked like a big, huge fish hook, kind of. And you could get it and depress muscles that were spasming out on your spine or on your back.
I've actually got one of those S-curve things with the ball.
It might have been there. It's a self-manipulation.
It's really awesome, actually.
Thing. Her mother stood on her feet all day long and did something with her hands and would come back home with her back, and the 13-year-old, and I think she's not the only one that come up with a device like this, but she invented her own, and she did a little spiel at the front before the sharks, and somebody said, how many have you sold? It was like Kevin O'Leary. He said, how many have you sold? I said, we've sold 800 units. And they're like, how have you sold them? And they're hitting her, 13 or not, boom, boom, hitting her with all the questions. She said, door knocking, door to door. And they're all like, holy crap, everybody, they stop and clap. That's awesome. And but yeah, the girl was, doing that. And that's one of the things about roofing too, of course. It's just, getting out there, you can door knock if nothing else. But they have the most respect for that. Why? And because marketing's the number one reason it's going to make it or not.
Well, it's a hustle thing.
Yeah.
It's if you have nothing else, you can at least go knock doors.
Yeah, well, it's not even that. If you can't sell, you're dead in the water.
Yeah.
They'll get rid of people just because. I actually had thought about it. I was I talked to my wife. I was like, I'm not sure if the sharks would like me or not because my bedside manner isn't. Because those people are always kind of. It's not like they all have the best bedside manner in the world, but if somebody gets there and they seem abrasive at all, they'll kick them out. Just mainly because they don't want to work with somebody. They need to control the situation. It's I'm not sure how I'd go over there. But
yeah, you're just like them. That would probably.
It probably wouldn't go well. But anyways,
I'd pay to see that.
Sales is extremely important, guys, and all this stuff is important. That's how I got started in it, and you need to have marketing as your number one thing. I've been doing it a long time. Jason's been doing this ever since.
You need marketing, and you need help.
You do.
If you're not a big company, you might find some absolute genius superstar marketing person, and you hire them into your office. And even if that person is amazingly good at their job, they're still just one person. You still need help. One person doesn't have enough hours in a day to do everything that needs to be done.
We have hundreds of clients now.
Right.
And a lot of the clients are very smart marketers, savvy enough to know that they need to have us helping them.
Right.
They can do other stuff, but we help with a whole subset of things that they could never do better than us. And that part of it, I don't think will ever change. There's something that we're a professional service, like an accountant. That's probably the best, best analogies. And we're a professional service, and you pay for that, and then you can still do other stuff like get reviews, or do some print advertising, or do some social media postings.
Right.
But we help with a lot of stuff that help you get found organically, or pay-per-click management and stuff like that. And there's a group of people that understand that, and they do phenomenally well online and get dominant in the marketplace, and also do other things online.
Right.
Then there's a group of people that are suspicious and testosterone driven and don't take the time to learn this stuff. And they think that people are out to get them or hurt them, and then they don't stay a long-term client. And then there's other people that just never become a client, because they don't figure this stuff out. And, I was thinking about that earlier, and there's not a great way to work that into a whole subject, but you want people that are going to excel at this and do well understand that marketing's paramount.
Right.
It's number one. It's how I did well in home security. It's how somebody else can do well, in roofing. It's how any business does well first. It's the number one thing that the sharks care about, because they know without it,
it doesn't matter how good you are at your job if nobody knows you exist. That sounds like that's a very basic thing to say, but it's amazing how many people don't grasp that part.
Yeah, people don't get it. But I can't tell you that I understood it, the concept of it that well. I just knew that I was aggressive about marketing.
Yeah.
I was aggressive about everything. Marketing came first, and then I learned everything else. I grew up before doing home security. I worked with my family, and I ran a call center for about anywhere between 4 and 8 people dialing out to get mobile showroom carpet appointments. And that stuff was rough. It was rough stuff. Almost as rough. I will say this one thing about roofers is the door knocking.
Yeah.
I never could do the door knocking. If I had to do it over again, I would have forced myself to do it, because it was huge for home security.
Yeah.
And I tip my hat to anybody that could run. You look at my hair when I said hat.
No, I didn't.
You messing with me, man? No. Anyway, he looked up at my hairline. Hat, you should be wearing one.
What hairline? says this guy.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, but the door knockers, man. I would have gone back. I'd have gotten some counseling over it. I'd have meditated, and I'd have stinking learned how to door knock, because there are two industries, roofing and home security, for that.
Yeah.
Those are the primaries, and roofers can live off of it. Have a whole business.
One time when I was quite young, answered a job for a management position at a distribution center, but it was a scam job ad. They were trying to get people in to do door-to-door Kirby vacuum cleaner sales. Yep. And I sat through half the original meeting. I'm like, I'm out. There's no way I can do that.
It used to work, man. Those kids made money too sometimes, although it was a rough crowd to run with.
Yeah, I was absolutely not going to do that.
Yeah. All right, guys, I hope you found that interesting. We've been doing it a long time. Love to be able to help out. Call us sometime.
Take it easy.